The new iPhone 14 Pro is surely an exciting upgrade over the 13 Pro, but is its camera really that good? Which iPhone should a filmmaker or a photographer choose to get the best deal? I've spent some time with both of these phones, ran a few tests, and got a pretty mixed impression. The answers I came up with are not very certain, but let me explain. This year's changes seem small, but when you dig deeper, you see that it's a completely new phone. Every parameter you pick may not be significantly different, but is obviously reworked. Let's look at all hardware changes first. The body has changed slightly both in width, height, and length. The camera bump is slightly more bumpy. Inside you can find a new A16 Bionic chip that uses 4nm technology instead of 5nm on the 13 Pro's A15. 14 Pro is faster, but not by much. Additionally, this chip now packs an updated image signal processor that is responsible for photo processing. The screen got slightly bigger and noticeably brighter. Now it goes up to 2000 nits of brightness instead of 1000 on the 13 Pro. This is really visible when looking at the phone in direct sunlight or powerful artificial light. iPhone 14 Pro has always on that works really well, but is slightly too bright and flashy. The new dynamic island is available only on the 14 Pro. The animations are smooth, everything feels futuristic and novel. It's a completely different way of interacting with the phone's certain aspects. But it still seems more like a gimmick than something really useful. 14 Pro holds charge under load slightly better and does have improved 5G connectivity. It also has crash detection and emergency satellite connectivity for SOS. The list of differences does make 13 Pro look dated, but everything changes when we move to the main selling point, the cameras. First, let's cross out the boring part of the camera upgrade, the selfie camera. It has received autofocus and advanced image processing algorithms. The dynamic range is still not enough for bright environments, but the level of details is better. If you are a fan of selfies or selfie videos, the 14 Pro should be your #1 choice, but a regular person will not see a difference, so front-facing camera can't be a real reason to choose 14 Pro over 13 Pro. Now to the main selling point, the triple camera system. Here, the difference between these two phones seems enormous, especially on paper. 14 Pro has 48 megapixels main camera instead of 12, updated sensor on telephoto camera, and improved ultrawide. All that is supercharged with a photonic engine and the latest image processing algorithms. The same goes for video. Cinematic mode on 14 Pro supports 4K instead of 1080p on 13 Pro, and 14 Pro has action mode. But as soon as you really start shooting, almost all improvements slowly disappear. Let me explain. On paper, the cameras on the 14 Pro are superior in every way, but in reality, not so much. By default, the huge 48 megapixel sensor only produces 12 megapixel shots. In daylight, there is almost no difference in quality or details, as well as colors or dynamic range. Just look at these photos, they look alike. Yeah, the photonic engine does bring more details, but the difference is negligible. Less lit environments demonstrate the same trend. 14 Pro photos are brighter, more detailed, and have less noise. The shadows have more details, the highlights are less apparent, and all these lights are treated slightly better. However, I've noticed a different color palette on the 14 Pro. The difference in photos is a small leap, not big enough to be noticed while looking at it on your phone. To see how 14 Pro is better, you need a big, bright screen. The phones do produce very similar images until you turn on those 48 megapixel RAW images. Full sensor makes a huge difference both in quality and file size. 48 megapixel images weigh 30 times more than regular 12 megapixel shots and pack much more information. These RAW images are much more detailed and balanced without heavy processing. 14 Pro just gives more detailed, overall better photos. Textures, shadows, highlights, everything is better. If you are like me and are ready to spend hours tweaking each shot in photo editor, you will definitely unlock the whole power of this new camera. RAW images allow a precise tweaking of every little detail, every color, every highlight. And to take your photos and videos to the next level, you need to use a good editor. Here's where Movavi Unlimited comes into play and will definitely help you make a great video, and luckily it's available on the Movavi Secret Sale at 85% off. Movavi Unlimited is the unique annual plan that includes the best from Movavi in one intuitive platform. There are tools for video editing, like Movavi Video Editor Plus itself, photo retouching, screen recording apps, and a set of utilities for work and study. With Movavi Unlimited, you'll be able to prepare files for further editing, convert them into the desired format, enhance a low-quality picture by adding filters, and even create an eye-catching thumbnail in just a few clicks. Unlike professional software, Movavi Unlimited is accessible for many users. Its annual subscription plan includes 10 programs and a huge collection of effects at the price of just one app. And the best thing is that you won't need a top-of-the-line computer to make the platform run smoothly. So basically, Movavi Unlimited is what removes limits on your creativity. The one-year subscription to Movavi Unlimited is now available at 85% off on the exclusive Movavi sale. The offer is time-limited, so hit the link below to get to our secret page. Now, let's pay some attention to the zoom lens, which is slightly better on the 14 Pro. It absorbs more light and has bigger pixels and better aperture than on 13 Pro. Plus that artificial 2x zoom. 14 Pro does give more opportunities to zoom images, but if you look closely at these images, you'll see that the actual difference is not very noticeable. Photos on the 14 Pro are more detailed, less noisy, with better colors and dynamic range. But I think that this difference is negligible. If you really want, you can edit photos on 13 Pro to look exactly like ones taken on 14 Pro. Just add some sharpness and lower the highlights. But what about the ultra-wide lens? Here, the hardware is unchanged, only the software is updated. The side-by-side comparison does reveal slightly better detailed and lit images on the 14 Pro, but not enough to be called 2 times better. The ultra-wide still requires a lot of work to actually be a good module. I cannot call the ultra-wide on 14 Pro dramatically better. There is still a lot of noise in low light and insufficient dynamic range. Let's call it a tie. Where you really can see the difference is video, mainly because of the action mode and updated cinematic mode. The latter on the 14 Pro rocks sweet 4K resolution, while 13 Pro can shoot only in 1080p. The edge detection is improved, the overall level of detail is better, but this mode still changes colors and tones, which doesn't allow for a clean and consistent looking video. I think this is still a toy unfit for serious shooting. If you are somewhat serious about shooting videos, this mode can't be considered suitable for any pro shooting. Sometimes using the main sensor gives a more coherent, consistent result with good enough bokeh and no degradation in image quality. The action mode is a completely different story. Just look at it. 13 Pro doesn't even have anything remotely similar to that. Look how smooth this video is, but the level of detail is freakishly bad. As soon as you go low light, the whole image crumbles and falls apart. I really like this mode. It's really useful for capturing well-lit dynamic moments. If you are in the dark, it would be better to shoot a regular video, and since you already know how to use Movavi Video Editor, you will be able to stabilize it in post-processing. It's really easy. Overall, I consider cameras on the 14 Pro better than on 13 Pro. Such a major update definitely makes the new camera more technologically advanced and promising. However, most of the new features and options will be useful only for professionals and those of you who spend hours on diligent editing. When shooting in automatic mode without further enhancement, the footage on the 14 Pro will be comparable quality to the previous 13 Pro. You will have to try hard to find serious differences. So, should you buy an iPhone 14 Pro for shooting photos and videos, or save some cash and buy 13 Pro? In my opinion, both phones are great in the camera department. The 13 Pro is just a better deal for its price. All those small improvements the 14 Pro has will not be as noticeable when compared to a previous generation phone. 13 Pro is great from every angle, starting with exceptional battery life, fantastic screen and great cameras. 14 Pro is just better in every way, slightly but better. If you can pick 13 Pro at discount, do that, especially if you're not from the US. Buy 14 Pro only if you have money to spare and you can't stand using last year's phone. No regular person will notice any difference in cameras without taking a really closer look. That's about everything I can say. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one.